Welcome. Today we'll be presenting our project. Let's sit on it. Here are the individuals who were involved in the research, development, and implementation of this proposal and presentation. We are all students of Miami University, and we appreciate your time today. So, getting into it, one of the most common mental health disorders is depression. And in India, over 10,000 women ages 15 to 29 die by depression-related suicide each year in Tamil Nadu, India. One may wonder, what are the characteristics influencing this statistic?
Annually, only 5% of individuals with common mental health disorders are treated in India. Due to the stigma surrounding both depression and the patriarchal structure of Indian society, women have more significant barriers to treatment for undiagnosed depression. With this stigma in mind, that 5% statistic may be even smaller for women and the treatment of their depression. On top of this, there are no implemented solutions known to effectively address this gap in care for women of our age group.
The state of Tamil Nadu, with a relatively lower population density in reference to India, is a location of interest because of the existing literature and women's limited access to mental health care. Therefore, we chose the town, Perambalur, with a population density of 320 people per square kilometers, and we will receive resources from Chennai with a population density of 26,553 people per square kilometers. As context, there are two primary types of depression found with women in India: major depressive disorder and postpartum depression. Major depressive disorder is best characterized with feelings of sadness and hopelessness, loss of interest or motivation, increased stress and anxiety, and difficulty with concentration. Postpartum depression is usually contracted after giving birth and is characterized by depressed mood and/or mood swings, difficulty bonding with the baby, increased irritability and anger, and thoughts of harming yourself or your baby. When these depressive disorders are left untreated, consequences may include eating disorders, relationships and family dynamics, thyroid problems, and, as mentioned earlier, suicide.
There's often immense stigma surrounding mental health issues for Indian women, which leads to shame and silence surrounding their condition. This stigma prevents them from seeking treatment, which exacerbates the already damaging issue. We hope to circumvent this by offering a covert way to connect our lay mental health workers with women so that they receive treatment in a comfortable way. To address this lack of treatment and increase in stigma, we have the following 4 aims. First, we will provide older adult women with task shift training as lay mental health providers. Next, we will increase awareness of the new friendship benches and lay mental health providers available that are there to support young women so that they can receive free one-on-one help. Then, we will utilize the lay mental health workers as liaisons to provide a pathway for professional care for those with more severe symptoms. Last, to create lasting change, we will encourage trained lay mental health workers to create a greater cycle of trainees and benches maintained by local workers to sustain the program.
The significance of our project, Let's Sit on It, has the capability to address depression amongst women in Perambalur, India, in ways that has never been done before. This will set a standard in the way that women in India both cope with and perceive the diagnosis itself, and can be a mediator for life and death for these women. Let's Sit on It will empower rural women with depression both to build community through relatable and trained older female lay mental health workers and to manage their mental health needs. In terms of innovation, this project brings free, readily available treatments to places and female populace in which access has rarely existed before. Friendship benches were first introduced in 2006 in Zimbabwe with the original aim of bridging the mental health treatment gap in Zimbabwe and improving the quality of life. Local older adult women who were trained with basic therapy-based approaches administered younger women in need, and after 6 weeks, the proportion of women with depression or suicidal ideation decreased from 68% to 12%. Because this is incredibly translatable to our efforts in Perambalur, India, we know that this is a reliable and effective intervention to address mental health care where access is lacking. We plan to incorporate the friendship benches as a fundamental component of our intervention, and as you can see, this is a cyclical design to address mental health care for women. Hired psychologists will train local older women while friendship benches are created and installed. Then programming, marketing, and advertising will be distributed in order to effectively put our intervention to action, which looks like trained older women coordinating with women ages 15 to 29 through WhatsApp to find a time to sit at a friendship bench and converse about their well-being. With the potential success in one location, we will consider changes and implement this intervention in another location.
In the first year, we will train older adult women with 2 hired psychologists and a mental health worker. Meanwhile, we will also purchase and install the friendship benches and design marketing materials necessary to coordinate this intervention with our population of interest, who are women ages 15 to 29. Throughout the rest of the year, we will hire local workers to maintain the quality of the benches, and with the support of a developer, we will utilize a website and WhatsApp to organize meeting between the trained older women and younger women with depression. This will continue into year 2, when the benches will be maintained and meetings will be coordinated. In addition, we will check in with the lay mental health workers on a regular basis and see how they are feeling about the intervention. At the end of year 2, depending on this feedback, as we stated with the cyclical expansion, we will look into a second town and begin the similar process of training the lay mental health workers and installing more benches there. As this process is initiated, we will conduct a survey in which we will determine the level of impact between the friendship benches and depressions within the town. With this information, we will continue on to years 4 and 5. In these years, we will continue the same work in all of the locations with 1 full-time psychologist, marketing, maintenance, feedback, and of course the intervention of our lay mental health workers meeting with the younger women in need.
These goals meet more than adequate fundability. We will be pursuing the Understanding Chronic Conditions Understudied Among Women, R21 RFP, with $500,000 associated with National Institutes of Health, Office of Research on Women's Health, National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, National Institute of Aging, and several other organizations. With this funding, we will utilize the bulk of these funds toward material installation, installation maintenance, provided training, and this continuous cycle of training and care.
Overall, the trajectory of our intervention will require $128,000 in year 1, $113,000 in year 2, $84,000 in year 3, and $85,000 for year 4 and 5. We will have a primary investigator on staff each year. In addition to this, in year 1, we are paying for 2 psychologists, 1 mental health worker. There are costs related to the training of the new lay mental health workers, as well as the costs of the benches themselves and the installation effort. We are also paying for the marketing efforts each year, which includes both staff, a website, pamphlets, and a budget to put our advertisements on social media. In year 2, we no longer have the mental health worker on staff, and we are not paying to administer training or purchasing any new benches, but all other costs remain the same. For the 3rd year, we have decreased to 1 psychologist on staff, but hired a surveyor to deploy our survey in each location that we have benches in place. In years 4 and 5, we keep all of the same costs as year 3, but with no surveyor. Simplicity is one of our project's greatest strengths, and because of the simple setup, it is a highly sustainable effort. Our trained lay mental health workers can in turn train new lay mental health workers to expand the program. The maintenance of the benches can be undertaken by local workers, which will further community ties, and it can be easily replicated in more towns. We are hoping that the impact of this project will work to further education surrounding depression for women in these more rural areas, as well as further their access to simple and free care so that they may get better over time. The quick and easy meetings allow women in need to get outside of their homes and meet with someone who can provide them with help on a regular basis, close to where they live. This program will help to build beneficial bonds across generations of women to improve the mental well-being of all people involved with the project. No problem is too small to bring to the friendship benches when someone is in need.
Thus, with the friendship benches and community-based intervention, we anticipate this project opening doors to healthcare for underserved communities in order to promote their well-being. Over these 5 years, we foresee a rise of community amongst women, and, in a clinical sense, the proportion of depression amongst women in India to decrease significantly. With that, we thank you for your time, and we look forward to all questions that you may have. Thank you again, and until next time, let's sit on it.